There are truck drivers in America right now who spent more money on the sleeping compartment behind their steering wheel than the average American spends on an entire house. Not a Tesla, not a boat, a bedroom on wheels. A queen-size bed, a full kitchen with a stove, a bathroom with a shower, a 32-inch flat-screen TV, custom cabinetry, marble countertops. Some of them even have fireplaces. And these aren't rich people playing pretend. These are working truckers hauling freight across the country. They chose to put their money here, inside a metal box smaller than a studio apartment, instead of into a suburban home with a lawn and a garage. Why? Because for these drivers, the answer isn't a lifestyle choice. It's math. And once you see the math, the whole thing stops being strange and starts being obvious. Most people, when they hear about a $400,000 sleeper cab, jump to the same conclusion. Ego, showing off at truck stops, wasting money on chrome. Sometimes that's true, but it doesn't explain the drivers who quietly build $400,000 sleeper cabs and never post them online, never enter them in truck shows, never even take pictures of them. Those drivers aren't chasing status, they're solving a specific problem, and that problem is time. Long-haul truck drivers get 1 day of home time for every week they're out on the road. That's roughly 50 days at home per year, meaning they spend around 300 days somewhere else. And somewhere else isn't a hotel or an apartment. It's a metal box mounted behind the engine of a truck they've been driving for 11 hours. The house they technically own? They see it about 6 weeks per year, spread across short weekend visits. The truck they technically drive? They live inside it for the other 46 weeks. Once you understand which one is really the primary residence, the pricing stops looking strange. Let's look at the actual price tags, because when you see them, your first reaction is going to be, this can't be real. A standard stock sleeper cab that comes attached to a Freightliner or Peterbilt runs about $55,000. That's the baseline. A custom sleeper, the kind built by companies like ARI Legacy Sleepers or Bolt Custom Trucks, starts around $150,000 and can hit $500,000 fully loaded. The very top-end custom builds, chassis and sleeper combined, push past $600,000. Now compare that to what an average American pays for a house. According to the U.S. Census Bureau, the median U.S. home sold for around $403,000 in early 2026. West Virginia had the lowest typical home value of any state, about $173,000. So a fully loaded custom sleeper isn't just more expensive than a nice car. It's worth more than the median home in an entire American state. Read that again. A sleeping compartment on a truck is worth more than a house in an entire American state, and drivers are lining up to buy them. The question isn't whether this is real, it's why anyone would do it. Here's what most people don't realize about what's inside these cabs. A modern super sleeper is not a bunk with a curtain. Inside a fully loaded custom build, you'll find a full-size bed, a 2-burner cooktop, a refrigerator with a separate freezer, a sink, a microwave, a full bathroom with a shower and toilet, a booth-style dining table, hardwood cabinetry, a 32-inch flat-screen TV, in-motion satellite receivers, and an independent HVAC system so the driver can heat and cool the space without idling the truck's main engine. That last part matters more than it sounds, because federal law requires drivers to rest for 10 consecutive hours before their next shift. That rest happens right there, in the sleeper, at a truck stop, in every climate this country produces, from Arizona summers to Wyoming winters. But the customization goes much deeper. Overdrive magazine documented one ARI build that included a children's bedroom and a classroom for homeschooling in the back, living quarters in the middle, and the parents' quarters in the front. Listen to that sentence again. A sleeper cab with a homeschooling classroom because the family lives in it, full-time, and they're not alone. There's a couple named Greg and Danelle Swafford, documented by Overdrive, who spent $235,000 on a custom 132-inch sleeper cab and eventually moved into it full-time. Their truck has a sink, a 2-burner stove, a refrigerator with a separate freezer, a full bathroom, a fold-up bed, a 32-inch TV, and a booth-style dining table. But here's the thing. They sold their house. Their quote in Overdrive, "It's our money-making motorhome." Think about what she just said. The sleeper isn't an accessory to their job. It's not a luxury. It's a money-making asset. Every hour they spend inside it, they're either earning per-mile pay or legally resting so they can earn more per-mile pay tomorrow. The house wasn't doing that. Now let's actually do the math, the way a driver does it. A $250,000 sleeper cab spread across 10 years of full-time occupancy comes out to about $68 per day of use. $68 a day. That's what you'd pay for a mid-range hotel room, except in the sleeper, you never check in, never pack, and your kitchen and bathroom are always in the same place. Now compare that to the house. A $403,000 median-priced home carries a mortgage payment of roughly $2,500 to $2,800 a month before taxes and insurance. If a long-haul driver only sleeps there 40 to 50 nights per year, that's between $600 and $800 per night. Look at those two numbers side by side. $68 per night in the sleeper, $700 per night in the house. It's not the truck that's expensive, it's the house that's underused. And drivers who spend a lot of time doing the math figure that out quickly. But that's just the beginning. Because the custom sleeper isn't just cheaper, it actually pays drivers to own it. Owner-operators have been openly discussing this on trucking industry forums for years. And when you add up what a custom sleeper actually saves them, it stops looking like an expense and starts looking like an investment. Food savings. Cooking your own meals instead of eating at truck stops saves drivers between $500 and $1,200 a month. Over 5 years, that's between $30,000 and $72,000 just in food. Fuel savings. A driver with a full bathroom doesn't have to drive off route to find showers and toilets. Every unnecessary detour costs diesel, and diesel isn't cheap. Health savings. Long-haul truckers have documented higher rates of obesity, diabetes, and heart disease according to the CDC. A working kitchen isn't a luxury. It's a way to keep the driver alive long enough to finish their career. Productivity gains. Drivers explicitly say it on forums. Being comfortable will lessen the desire to go home and allow you to stay out and be more productive. A comfortable driver stays out longer, drives more miles, earns more money. Resale value. A well-kept custom sleeper holds its value. Other drivers pay premium prices for them used. Add all of that up, food, fuel, health, productivity, resale, and the expensive sleeper starts looking less like a luxury and more like a working investment. That's the calculation nobody outside the industry ever hears about. But there is a catch, and it's the reason not every driver takes this path. Custom sleepers are heavy. A standard factory sleeper weighs around 1,500 pounds. A 156-inch custom sleeper can push that total closer to 5,000 pounds. That extra weight comes directly out of your legal payload capacity. Every pound the sleeper adds is a pound of freight you can't carry. For drivers hauling weight-limited loads, steel, fuel, aggregates, a giant sleeper literally costs them money on every single trip. So the drivers who invest in these massive sleepers tend to haul lighter freight, general goods, specialized cargo, high-value shipments, where the weight trade-off doesn't hurt their income. The choice to spend $200,000 on a sleeper is only rational for a specific kind of driver hauling a specific kind of freight. When you see one of these luxury sleepers on the road, you're looking at a driver who did the math for their specific life and concluded that a house made no sense. So the math works, the economics check out, but here's what nobody tells you, and here's where this video stops being about trucks and starts being about you. Every package you've ordered online, every gallon of milk in your fridge, every piece of furniture delivered to your door, all of it moved through the American trucking system. And most of that movement happened while a driver was living inside a metal box far from home for weeks at a time so that the delivery could arrive on time. That driver's expensive sleeper cab isn't a luxury. It's the physical reason a human being can spend 46 weeks a year doing that job without their body or mind falling apart. The kitchen means they eat real food. The bed means they actually sleep. The shower means they don't depend on truck stop bathrooms at 2 a.m. The independent HVAC means they can rest without burning the main engine's fuel every night. Take those things away, and long-haul driving becomes a job no one can sustainably do. Which means the packages stop arriving, which means the supply chain stops moving. You've been calling it an expensive truck. What you're actually looking at is the workspace, the bedroom, the kitchen, and the bathroom of the person moving your economy, all packed into a vehicle they had to specifically customize because no manufacturer sells a home you can drive. You always thought a house was where you lived and a truck was where you worked. For a long-haul driver, those definitions are reversed. The truck is where they live 300 days a year. The house is where they visit family, store their winter clothes, and receive mail. Once that flip clicks into place, spending $300,000 on the truck and $200,000 on the house isn't strange at all. It's proportional to where their time actually goes. The driver isn't spending too much on the truck. The rest of us are spending too much on houses we barely use, judged from a driver's perspective. They just happen to notice the imbalance first because their job forced them to. The sleeper cab isn't competing with the house. For some of these drivers, it replaced it.